Please be seated. The court is now back in session. We will now hear the statements of sufferings and harms or impact by a civil party, that is TCCP 13, and the testimony will be heard through a video link. And due to the establishment of the video link, we were a bit late. That is, we are actually 15 minutes behind the schedule. Hello, Madam Civil Party. Is your name Cheng Eng Lee? Once again, hello, Madam Civil Party. Is your name Cheng Eng Lee? Madam Civil Party, can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you. Thank you. Is your name Cheng Eng Lee? Answer, yes. Question, how old are you? Answer, I am 60 years old. Question, where were you born? Answer, I was born in Phnom Penh. Question, where is your current address? Answer, I live in Paris. I live at number 19 at Rue de l'Étang de la Tour in Rambouillet. Question, what is your current occupation? I live in Paris. Question, can you tell us your mother's and father's names? Answer, my father's is Cheng Sen Kao, he passed away. Question, and your mother's name? President, Madam Cheng Eng Lee, do you hear me? What is your mother's name?
Hello.
President. Madam Civil Party, what is your mother's name? Answer, her name is Sok Ain. She also passed away. President, are you married? Answer, I am married. Question, what is your husband's name and how many children do you have? His name is Chai Hok Heng. We have 5 children together. Thank you, Madam Cheng Eng Lee. As a civil party before this court, the trial chamber will give you an opportunity to make your statement of sufferings and harms or impact inflicted upon you materially, physically, and psychologically, which are the direct result of the crimes that occurred and which led you to become a civil party in this case, and which have been charged against the 2 accused, namely Nuchi and Kieu Sampon, and which occurred under the Khmer Rouge regime from the 17th April 1975 through the 6th January 1979. You may proceed. From the 17th April 1975, there is no need for me to tell everyone. Everybody knows the Cambodian people who were evacuated from Phnom Penh. President, we would like to inform the parties and the public that there are some technical problems with the establishment of the video link to France. President, we have problem with the internet connection, and we may need to wait for another 5 minutes. And we need to wait until the internet connection is established. President, I think we have waited for quite some time now, and there is still a problem with the internet connection. And after the band's deliberation, we now decide to replace the hearing of the testimony of the civil party with another civil party, that is TCCP 198. And we will let the AV unit deal with the internet connection, and when it is properly established, we may continue to hear the hearing of the testimony of this one after the conclusion of TCCP 198. Court officer, could you invite TCCP 198 into the courtroom? President, good afternoon, Madam Civil Party. What is your name? Civil Party, my name is Hu Jan Tha. I was born at Kampong Sang, village Kampong Sang commune, Ba Phnom district in Prey Veng province. At the moment, I reside in Kondal province. Thank you. Question. How old are you and what is your current occupation? Answer. I'm a small merchant. At the moment, I live at my husband's village in Pograsay. Question. How old are you? Madam Chantha, please observe a slight pause until you see the red light on your microphone before you speak, so that your voice will go through the distribution system, in particular to the interpretation system, as your statement will be simultaneously interpreted into English and French. Please respond to my last question. How old are you? Answer. I am 60 years old. Question. What is your mother's name and your father's name? Answer. My father's name is Hu Hang and my mother's name is Cao Ngao. Her native village was also from Kampong Sang. Question. And what is your husband's name and how many children do you have? Answer. My husband's name is Thun Saam. He's a teacher and we have 5 children. Thank you, Madam Hu Jan Tha. As a civil party before this court, the chamber will give you an opportunity to make your statement of sufferings, the harms or impact inflicted upon you materially, psychologically, and physically, which are the direct result of the crimes that occurred and which led you to become a civil party, and which are accused against the true accused, that is Nunchi and Kisapon, and which occurred during the period of democratic Cambodia, that is from the 17th April 1975 to the 6th of January 1979. You may proceed. My response to the hybrid tribunal. President interrupts. Please wait. I notice your counsel is on her feet. You may proceed, counsel. Thank you, Mr. President, and good afternoon, Mr. President, Your Honors, and everyone in and around the courtroom. My client wishes to read her statement describing her suffering that she experienced during the democratic Cambodia and the loss of her parents and relatives. And the document has been prepared by my client herself before her appearance. And if the time remains, after the conclusion of her reading of the statement, I have some questions for her. And finally, Mr. President, at the conclusion of her reading of her statement, she has some questions for the accused. And I seek your permission for my clients to read the statement and to put the questions through you to the accused. President, yes, you may do so. Civil party, you may proceed. Civil party, first of all, allow me to express my gratitude to this hybrid tribunal so that I can express my sufferings through the bitter episode of my life under the Khmer Rouge regime, and which its remnant effect of misery is still existing for my children, for myself. Under the Tribunal regime, my family was of a rather wealthy status as they had a grocery shop in Kampong Sang market. I am the fourth child of the 9 siblings. My other 3 siblings all married, and they were these public servants of the Tribunal regime. They had their plots of land, their houses, motorbikes, and some valuable jewelries in Phnom Penh. In 1972, I got married, and then I came to live on my mother-in-law's side near Kabal Mon Chai market. At that time, my husband was a teacher, and our living condition was rather wealthy, as we had a motorbike, some jewelries, and we had our own house. The situation back then was not as difficult as now. At that time, I did not know what hardship meant. On the 16th of April 1975, it was the last day of the Tribunal regime. The sounds of gunshots and fires from the Puchen Tong side and around Phnom Penh kept occurring from dusk to dawn. And at 8 a.m. on the 17th April of the same year, some of my neighbors were standing raising a white flag. And so did our family. We shouted that the war is now ended and the peace has returned. At that time, the black-clad Khmer Rouge soldiers, who were rather young, were walking in line on the street. But they did not welcome our applaud. They were silent and they had this firm facial expression. The happiness did not last long because these black-clad soldiers who were carrying weapons shouted to us, "You must leave the city now," as they need to sweep clean the city for 3 days. We left along Pojantong Road. The situation was rather confusing for my family as we didn't know what to take and what not. The Khmer Rouge kept threatening us, "You must leave immediately," and they also fired some shots into the air to threaten us. This unanticipated situation caused us confusion and we were scared. I was dizzy, I was trembled. I could not think of anything else, as I could not carry all the belongings. I was afraid of leaving my valuable things behind, as I was afraid that we would not be returned, and I was afraid that I would be separated from my parents. Along the road, I saw people crowded along the road. Some were driving their vehicles slowly, some were driving their motorbikes, some were walking their bikes, some were carrying stuff on their shoulder and on their heads. The situation was miserable. Some people had the drip on their hand, and some women who just delivered the babies were forced to walk under the open sky and the rains. Some disabled people, old and young people, they were exhausted. Young children were crying because of the feet pain. And along the road I saw the corpses of Lunar soldiers dying and scattering. It was a pitiful situation.
When we got to Nal Kain, we looked for a place to prepare our food. We went out to collect water. Some of us were preparing for our dinner. That was the first night. I met a very unfortunate things, the most unfortunate things in my life that I had never experienced. I slept on the road. At that time, I did not have any mat. I slept directly on the ground. I thought to myself why I had to sleep on the ground like this, and I was thinking to myself as to when I would be able to return back to my original state of living condition. I thought at first that peace would prevail, but unfortunately things turned completely different. On that evening, I heard rumors that people they abolished currency or bank note. I wonder if we did not use bank note, how could we buy foodstuff, and what would happen to my saving that I had spent my life saving it? Wouldn't it be a waste at all? I had tried to keep my bank note, but it turned out to be useless. The next morning, I rented a boat in order to cross a river to the other side of the riverbank. I saw a crowd of people walking from different directions. When I got there, I continued walking on foot. I reached a pond. When as soon as we got to the pond, everyone was desperate for the water because they had been tired, they had been thirsty, they had walked under the sunlight the whole day. Then I decided to drink the contaminated water, the water that stinks, the water that smelled terrible, but I could not help but drink the water from the pond. And the next morning we continue our journey until we actually spent a total of 15 days to reach Pokrisei village. When we got there, my parents' village house were actually abundant, and we did not have any shelter. Uh, at night, we took shelters under one roof without any wall at all. And at that night, it rained very heavily. There were storm and lightning. We were very frightened. And the next morning, we did not even meet the village chief or anyone who came to prepare any shelter for us. Our family member tried to find other stuff necessary to build a small hut in order to take shelter. But less than 2 days when we got there, we were summoned for a meeting. During that meeting, they told us the unit chief, and we were supposed to report to the unit chief. Whatever the unit chief assigned us to do, we had to do. We could not resist or protest. So it was in June 1975. My family, at that day, we did not yet have our dinners. My brother-in-law, 27 years of age, he had just had a bath, and then he was about to have his dinners, and he saw two youth call him. They said, "Son, come with me for a meeting." And my brother-in-law did not yet have his dinner. He followed the two men, and from that day onwards, I never saw his face. The life was completely miserable. We actually stayed there and without many things in life. At that time, the 17 April people who were staying in Pukrusai village ran out of their food stock, and one day the unit chief gave us around 5 kilos of rice, but the rice actually was almost spoiled husk rice, which smelled terrible. But that was the only times they gave us rice. Some of our family members brought along with us some belongings, for example, jewelry or watch. We exchanged them for some food stuff to feed ourselves. But our situation only got worse because every day we had to go without enough food to eat. We had to pick wild plant and other stuff nearby the place we stay to eat in the place of rice at that times. We had to endure that suffering until until the times when we harvested rice. At that times we were given approximately 20 grams of husk rice, and then when this season was over, they actually only provided us a few ladles of watery rice for us. We had stayed there and served Angkar for 3 years, 8 months, and 20 days. First, they assigned me to harvest rice crops. I did not even have slipper to wear. My sole was actually burnt because I walked barefooted for days and months, and I was actually scolded. I was blamed that I was the 17 April people. I did not have the sense of struggle. The next day, they assigned me to harvest cod in the river, and it was in the pond, and actually it was better because I was barefooted, but unfortunately I saw leeches, and I was very frightened. People from Phnom Penh like me, I had never seen such an insect, and I was very frightened, but I could not come up because I was assigned to do the job, and I was also assigned to mind cattle as well, and never had I done that before, and I was afraid of bulls as well. I was afraid of it attacking me. One day I was attacked by bulls, but fortunately I was saved by people who were there at me. And I was also assigned to also pick morning glories as well. So I was assigned to do all kinds of work without any free time at all for the day. And I had to feed pork. I had to feed a pig as well. But never had we given pork to eat, even those we raised by ourselves. I delivered my baby. I were not allowed to take any maternity leave at all. I had to work. I had to follow their order. When my child was around 4 months of age, I was asked to prepare fish, dry fish. And then when my child was about 6 months old, I was assigned to work very hard. They did not allow us to be free even if we had just delivered the baby. At times they asked us to transplant rice for many hours before we were allowed to come back home to breastfeed our kid. From 11 until 5, one day they assigned me to feed pigs. And the person who was in charge of pig raising, he was very aggressive and he was not kind to me. He blamed me why I carry only half a bucket of pig feed. One day he pushed me into the pig cage, and I was covered with pig waste all over my body. This was the suffering I had encountered. I was discriminated against because I was accused of the 17 April people, and my physical strength diminished by day because I did not have anything to eat. As for my husband, he was assigned with a pair of ox, and every day when he came back home, he was very exhausted. He would lean against the wall for a while before he went for a bath and had dinner. At that time, I was very pitiful for my husband. In 1978, he was not assigned to plow the field. He was assigned to carry earth very far from home. My husband was a person from a descent family in the city. He was not someone who could do that hard labor job, but he was made to do it. He overworked, and because of this overworked, he suffered from a problem with his heart. We had encountered these sufferings. We every day sort of our family members' living condition. We were very desperate every day and night of our family member, and we thought to ourselves, why this regime inflicted torture against the people? Why didn't they allow people to have sufficient food to eat, just rice to eat? Because we had harvested crops, and we know that the rice yield was plentiful. People should have had enough food to eat, and why didn't they provide sufficient medicine for the patient. They only provide the rapid dunk medicine for them to take whenever they sick. So some of my family members were summoned to a meeting. They told us that they would go for training for education, but then these people never returned home. They killed the officials, the civil servants of the Lonol administration, and we were questioning to ourselves why this regime killed a former official. We wanted to know who the leaders of this regime were, and we wanted to know who the leader was and what nationality they were. These were the questions we had in our minds all the time following the day of work. I always thought to myself as to who led this organization, who led this regime. So when the 7th of April 1979 arrived, I was very happy. I thought that I would be able to look for my parents. At that time, my second child was just born, and I had to sell about 6 chickens I had raised in order to have some pocket money to go and look for my family members. We packed our food. When I reached Stun's Road, my heart beat got faster, and I thought to myself whether or not my family members had been killed during the regime, and if that was the case, and how would I stand this fact if I later discover it. So I met my former village neighbors. He told me that I go to the small hut. Actually, the Nyap came to me and he hugged me, and he told me that my mothers and my 5 siblings were executed during the regime. My mother was executed on the accusation that she had in her possession a lot of golds, and so they took her for execution. Upon hearing this sad news, I was stunned. I could not say anything, and the next morning when I woke up, I wanted to die. I really want to follow them, but I heard the crying of my small baby, so I had to leave. I told myself that I had to leave for my innocent baby. I would like to tell the court that I am the 4th child in my family, and I am the only survivor of whole family of the 9 siblings. My grandparents, my parents, and other relatives, 22 of them altogether, died due to diseases, starvation, and other causes. As for my uncle by the name of Kok in Kien Swai, he was asked to do the work in the forest, and he stepped on the landmine. He was killed, and his 4 kids were parentless, fatherless from that time onward. And my other relatives were forced to work extremely hard, and one day he suffered from diarrhea or cholera, and then he died. He left behind 6 children to date. As for my brother Huhani, he was the aviation soldier. Before 1975, he was dispatched to Thailand for training. And following the appeal of Ieng Sari for the intellectual to return to the country to rebuild Cambodia, he decided to return, and he did not have a chance to meet with his family member. Upon his return, he was arrested by the Khmer Rouge and he was later executed. He left behind many children. And my second brother, Hua Kim, before the 17th of April 1975, they live in Muan Chai market, and then they were evacuated to Prevain province. My sister-in-law was 4 months pregnant, and their parent-in-law and other relatives were asked to stand in the queue, and then they were killed with the hoe, one after another. When my brother, who learned that his wife and relatives were killed, he grabs a knife to look for the murderers, and then he was looking for the murderers, and then the people who killed his relative came out, and then they were fighting with one another. At that time, my brother-in-law were killed by the Khmer Rouge, and eventually he died and he was gone forever. And my third brother, before the 17th of April 1975, he was a teacher in Phnom Penh. On the 17th of April 1975, his family was evacuated to Long Chen, Tak Mau. He was accused of possessing valuable belongings. He did not agree to cede this belonging for communal use, and then the husband was taken away for execution, and the wife of my brothers begged them for mercy. They begged them not to kill her husband because they have 4 small children behind, but they did not listen. They were merciless. They killed the husband and the wife. They died together. They killed them. As for my mother was accused of possessing valuable belonging, namely golds, and she was accused not putting these valuable belongings for the cooperatives' use. My mother was taken to kilometer number 6, and she was detained, and she was very hungry. She could not bear it, and then she decided to escape from the detention center. And she came to meet with her children, and then the Khmer Rouge soldier, people from the detention center, found them, and they arrested them and killed them instantly. 6 of them were killed in one instance. At that time, it was a horrifying experience. This was sorrowful and very, very horrifying. I cannot put this in words. Who were the leaders of this regime? Why did they allow Khmer to kill Khmer? I was despaired. I find that I was useless. I had no family members. My parents were all gone. I look at everything around me. Everything was meaningless for me. My life is completely meaningless. And I have my husband and 2 children who support me every time. And soon after, my husband suffered from a chronic disease because of the hard work, and his situation, his condition got worse, and I sent her to a doctor, and then the doctor said my husband was suffering from a heart problem, and at that time I got even more hopeless for my life. I became completely despaired. I did not want to live anymore, and I have the wrath of this regime. My husband tried to teach, and I had to sew clothes and raise pigs in order to save money to send him for treatment. But then his situation never got better. He died in 1995. And then later I have 3 children. I would like the court and everyone to consider my situation, a widow with 5 children. My children did not have full concentration on the study because they know our miserable situation, and we have endured all the sufferings. My family was in disarray because of these regimes. Never ever a day had we had any happiness in the family. We never received any help from anyone. We did not receive the warmth of the family.
It was so painful for me, and I was so angry with that regime, and because of that regime my entire family was destroyed, and the misery remained with my other 5 children, and who became orphaned till today. Personally, I have had some psychiatric problems with hypertension as due to the shock, the terror repeatedly that I experienced from that vicious regime. I tried to sew clothes, to raise poultry in order to resolve our livelihood through such a hardship. I tried my best in order to be on my feet today and to be here today in order to find justice for my parents, my relatives, my grandparents, uncles and aunts. Today I am so excited that I am given the opportunity by this international court who crossed the oceans in order to come here to find justice for them and for the Cambodian people who died unjustly under that regime. Today, this is the day that I have been waiting for more than 30 years with anxiety. Today I would like to summon the spirits of my parents, my uncles, grand-uncles, aunts, and all the relatives, totaling in 22, who died under the regime, to be here with me in order to hear the prosecution by this court of the murderers and to find justice for you all, and in order to be sure that they will be judged when they die. My respect to the court, I would like to make a request to you all, your honors, which is the international court, to judge fairly and justly in proportion to the gravity of the crimes that they have committed inhumanely against the nation and the people with their torture and all other cruel acts, the loss of lives, unjustified that happens to my family cannot be repaired. I would not exchange just one life of my mother to a bucket of gold, let alone the 22 lives that were lost. The perpetrators and the co-perpetrators who killed my family members should be punished severely, and that they should be punished for the 1,000 years of their lives, and that they should not be reincarnated as a human being. And I'd like to appeal to the true leaders of democratic Cambodia. You are now very old, and this is the final stage of your life. For that reason, you should be courageous to collect all your strength in order to shed light and tell the truth to all the victims and all the civil parties who are anxious to hear, to find justice and the truth, and why your regime exterminate the people. I would appeal repeatedly to all the organizations and the institutions throughout the world, as well as the generous donors, to continue providing the support to the civil parties who are the victims in proportion to their big loss, in order to reconcile their mentality, their psychology, and their physical and emotional beings. We are all of senior age, and we are being haunted by all kinds of diseases. Finally, in my representation of all the civil parties in Sakandal district, Mukampu district, and Vihisu district, I would like to make my final submission through this hybrid tribunal, which has spent a great deal of the budget and fund in order to find justice for the Cambodian victims. Please conduct your investigation of the properties inside and outside the country which might belong to the accused, and if they were found to be guilty, the property shall be compensated to all the victims who had suffered for more than 30 years or for more than 30 years. And this court cannot end its mandate in failure. You must endeavor hard to find justice to the victims. Mr. President, I'd like to put 3 questions to the accused. President, yes, you may do so. You may put your questions through me, the President of the Chamber, and I will redirect your questions to the accused. You may proceed. This is my first question, and it goes to the true accused. I want to know that my mother and my elder brother who had gold but they did not want to put it in the cooperative, is it the policy of the regime that they shall be prosecuted and executed for this act? And number 2, it goes to the true accused. During the 3-year, 8 months, and 20 days period, every night that you were sleeping and embracing your wives in the air-con or a fanned room in the big building, did you ever imagine the situation of the Cambodian people who were crying out in the blood pond, asking to the nature what mistakes they made, why they were killed, and they demand for justice? Did you ever imagine that? And my third question to both of you, this morning you tried to respond that you were not aware of the mass killings under that regime. Aren't you ashamed of the younger generation that you were the supreme leaders and you knew nothing at all? That's all, Mr. President. President, thank you, Madam Hu Janta. I will now redirect the questions, the three questions by the civil party to the two accused. First, to Kieu Sampon. Please respond to the questions put to you by this civil party. President, good afternoon, Mr. President, Your Honors. Good afternoon, the whole court, and good afternoon, Madam Hu Janta. I have heard your statement, and I was shocked. Your statement is similar to that by the previous civil parties. However, I would like to inform you that I am not the leader of the Democratic Cambodia. And I do not understand why such things happened. And before I respond to your question, this is the statement that I'd like to make it clear to you. I was promoted to be the president of the state to replace Samdech Sihanouk, who was the former head of state. Samdech Sihanouk, who was the former head of state, did not have any executive authority. I was in a similar situation. This is for your information, Madam Civil Party. Now allow me to respond to your questions one by one. Your question is that your mother and your brother had gold but did not put them into the cooperative, and whether the law of the regime was to execute the entire family. To me, that is incorrect. As I stated already, they only needed the agricultural land and products, for example, the land and the factory, so that they could be placed for common use in order to expedite the building of the country. And that's what I heard of them speaking in the meeting, that is, in the meeting by the Central Committee. But when it comes to the confiscation of personal belongings, like namely gold and diamonds, to me it's beyond my understanding. Now, let's go to your second question. Allow me to tell you that I did not have any big villa to live in. You can go and witness it yourself in Thailand how my wife and I lived. But this is just a minor matter. At least it's for your information. And because you said that being the leaders, why the leaders did not know anything, and that we should be ashamed of the younger generation. But I repeatedly tell you, I did not know anything about that. I was the head of state, but it was of a nominal role. I did not have any executive authority. I only represented an independent and sovereign Cambodia, and that's the limit of it. Let me touch on another issue, that I was a member of the Central Committee. I was a candidate member until late 1975 or early 1976, when I became the full-fledged member. Although in the party statute it states that the Central Committee was the supreme organization of the entire party, in the actual practice, and allow me to make it clear to you and to all the Cambodian people as well as to the court, this is existed only on paper. And also in the party statute, it also stated that the Central Committee only convened twice per year. And that's the first point. And for the second point, for other members of the Central Committee, they were responsible for various bases, sectors, and zones. Only I, myself, was not responsible for any zone or sector, not even a smallest unit of a military. My role was to maintain a good liaison with some Dutch and to distribute goods to zones and sectors upon their request and based on the approval of the Standing Committee. Therefore, it is clear that I could not know the suffering and the misery as described by you. And you can put the question that I participated in the Standing Committee's meeting. I did participate in the meeting in my capacity as the head of state, as I needed to liaise with the friendly countries or the head of states. And for that reason, I needed to know some matters concerning the development of the country. And for that reason, I was asked to participate in that kind of meeting. And that kind of meeting was a broad meeting for members like myself, because for certain meetings I was not allowed to know. And there were a lot of meetings that were held and I was not allowed to know, in particular regarding the meetings concerning the arrest. And this is for your information, and it may respond to your questions that why I keep saying I do not know about this or do not know about that. And that's for your consideration and for the nation's consideration. Now, on your third question regarding the class anger, allow me to tell you, I was also criticized during the Central Committee's meeting, as I was asked to criticize and self-criticize in order to talk about my class stand and that I should not maintain my capitalist stance, that I used to go and study in Paris. I told them I tried my best, but it was the nature of my element. And as Noon Chia stated this morning, the education or the refashioning was for the elements, not for the individual. I was not killed, but they could not refashion me when it comes to my element, because that was part of me. And this is my response to you, and I hope you understand that I did not have the authority to make any decisions, and whatever they wanted to know, they would only allow me to know to that limit and nothing else. And this is my response to your questions. President, thank you, Mr. Kirsampon. The questions are now redirected to the accused Noon Chia. And you please respond to the questions put to you by the civil party. Sonarun, Mr. President, and good afternoon, Madam Civil Party. I am the counsel for Noon Chia. This morning, my client Noon Chia responded to the questions by the two civil parties, and for this afternoon, he is exhausted, he is dizzy, and he cannot think straight. So for that reason, he cannot consider your questions clearly, and he informed me to inform the chamber that he reserves his right to remain silent until such time that he is in a better position. Thank you. President, we would like now to give the floor to the prosecution to put the questions to this civil party. You may proceed.
Mr. President, thank you very much. We have no questions.
Thank you, says the President. The floor is now given to Noon Chia's defense to put questions to this civil party. Sonarun, Mr. President, our team do not have any question for this civil party. Thank you. President, thank you. Lastly, the floor is given to Kirsampon's defense. Kong Som-on, thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon, Your Honors and everyone. On behalf of my client, we do not have any questions for this civil party. Thank you. President, thank you. Court officer, could you update the bench regarding the audiovisual establishment through an internet with our civil party in France? President. Thank you, Madam Hu Jantha. The hearing of your statement of sufferings, harms, and impact and your testimony has now concluded. You may now be excused from the court, and your statements of impact may contribute to ascertaining the truth in this case. You may return to your residence, and we wish you all the best. Court officer, in collaboration with the VISU, please assist the civil party for her return to her residence or wherever she wishes to go to. We would also like to inform the parties and the public that we will continue to hear the statement of sufferings, harms, and impact by the civil party from France through a video link, which was interrupted earlier this afternoon, but we have been informed that the connection has been re-established. However, the time is appropriate for a break. We will take a 15 minutes break and return at 3:10. The court is now adjourned.